Hello everyone, I'm Gabriela Diaz, a solution architect here at AWS, and in this video, I will explain how to configure AWS WAF token domain lists to apply advanced threat mitigations like bot control, account takeover prevention, and fraud detection when cross-domain requests are involved. Let's first look at some key concepts. The way AWS WAF creates a fingerprint to identify a client that is connecting to your application is through client interrogation. So how does this work? When a client connects to your application, we pose a challenge, and this includes having the client execute a script. This allows us to start collecting client telemetry. Now, what do we do with all the data we collected? We code it, we encrypt it into a token, and this token is stored as a cookie, and it will be sent on every subsequent call back to us. This allows us to identify a unique client session anywhere in the world. By default, AWS WAF only accepts tokens whose domain setting exactly matches the host domain of the resource that's associated with the web ACL. For example, if your web ACL is associated with example.com, AWS WAF will only accept tokens that are configured for the example.com domain. It will reject any tokens configured for other domains like api.example.com or logging.example.com, even if they are valid tokens. You can configure a web ACL to share tokens across multiple domains by providing a token domain list with the additional domains that you want AWS WAF to accept. Let's look at one example. In this architecture, our single-page application spans multiple domains. The main site is on static.quickdemo.org, and the APIs are on dynamic.quickdemo.org. Also, we have configured a WAF Web ACL bot control managed rule group with targeted inspection level to benefit from the intelligent threat mitigation features. So let's go to the console to see how we can configure token domain lists to help us in scenarios like this one, where we have cross-domain requests. First, let's look at our CloudFront distributions. We have two distributions, one for static content with an S3 origin and one for dynamic content with an API gateway origin. Let's check our AWS WAF configuration. In the associated AWS resources tab, we can see that our dynamic CloudFront distribution is associated to this web ACL. Because we have two distributions with different domains and we will have cross-domain requests, we need to configure the web ACL to share tokens across multiple domains. We are going to do this by providing a token domain list with the additional domains that we want AWS WAF to accept. We navigate to the Web ACL Rules tab and scroll down to the Token Domain List section. The domain that AWS WAF sets in a token is determined by the type of challenge script that's requesting it and any additional token domain configuration that you provide. AWS WAF sets the domain in the token to the shortest, most general setting that it can find in the configuration. AWS WAF still accepts the resource's host domain, in this case, dynamic.quickdemo.org. Additionally, it accepts all domains in the token domain list, including their prefixed subdomains. For example, a domain specification example.com in your token domain list matches example.com. It will also match api.example.com and www.example.com. Let's configure the token domain list in the web ACL. We will select Edit, Add Token Domain, and we will add the domain of the distribution that is not associated to the web ACL. In this case, the single page application distribution. So static.quickdemo.org. And we click Save. Now let's look at the configuration on the client side. On the client side, we need to make sure we have the appropriate configurations. For example, if you need to make cross-domain resource fetches, you need to properly configure domains so the cookies can be sent successfully. So we need to add the AWS WAF cookie domain list and configure it with the relevant domains. If you have multiple subdomains, you can choose the shortest domain from among the combination of the domains. For example, instead of static.quickdemo.org, you could choose quickdemo.org. For this specific example, we want to protect the API calls that we make. And so we also need the getToken WAF integration. This will allow us to make an API call to get a token that will be included as a custom header in all our subsequent calls. An alternative to this is to use the AWS WAF fetch wrapper, which handles these tokens automatically without the need to use custom headers. You can scan the QR codes to find more resources like a blog on how to use AWS WAF intelligent threat mitigations with cross-origin API access and AWS documentation for client application integration. In this video, we discussed AWS WAF tokens and how to configure token domain lists. We hope this was informative and happy cloud computing from all of us at AWS.